Welcome to Haunted Chapters featuring true horror stories. I post videos 3 days a week and daily on weekends. If you like the videos, please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. I should have trusted my gut the moment I saw the door. It was a deep, reddish brown, almost maroon, like dried blood. The brass numbers above it read 3B, slightly askew, as if someone had torn them off and half-heartedly glued them back on. A draft snuck through the hallway, though none of the windows were open. I remember the real estate agent, Claire, laughing nervously. "Don't mind the chill," she said. "These old Salem buildings all creak and groan like they're alive." I chuckled with her. Not because I believed her, but because I didn't want to look like someone who's scared easily. The apartment was in the heart of Salem, Massachusetts. Historic, full of charm, and cheap. That last part should have tipped me off. I was fresh off a job relocation, single, and looking for a place to start over. When I first saw the listing, it felt too good to be true. A 2-bedroom unit in a century-old, brownstone, hardwood floors, clawfoot tub, even a fireplace, all for under $1,000 a month. Claire said the owner had passed, and the family was in a hurry to sell. I moved in on a gray October afternoon. By nightfall, the building groaned. At first, I thought it was the wood settling. That's what they always say in horror movies. The pipes knocked occasionally. A draft kissed the back of my neck when I walked through the hallway. Lights flickered, but never fully went out. I told myself it was the age of the wiring. I told myself a lot of things. My upstairs neighbor, Marla, was the first to warn me, though she didn't do it directly. It was my third night there. I was hauling a box of books when I saw her standing in the hallway staring at my door. She was in her 60s, rail thin, and dressed like she hadn't changed out of the same wool coat in years. "You're the new tenant," she said, not smiling. "I am. I'm Theo." She glanced at my hand but didn't shake it. "You know about the girl, don't you?" She asked. "Excuse me?" Her eyes didn't blink. "She lives in the walls, or thinks she does." I laughed awkwardly. "Is that a joke?" Marla didn't answer. She just walked away. That night, I heard the scratching. It started at 2:37 a.m. Sharp, always the same time. It came from inside the wall next to my bed, not scurrying like mice. Not that light. This was deliberate. Fingernails, maybe. Long ones. Dragging. I didn't sleep. I told Claire about it the next morning. "Oh, it's probably just rats. Old buildings, you know?" she said. "I'll call pest control." But pest control never showed up. The next few nights, the scratching grew louder. Sometimes it sounded like whispering, muffled, childlike. I can't breathe. I thought I imagined it. Until I didn't. One night I pressed my ear to the wall. Nothing. Then, Theo. I fell back like I'd been electrocuted. I started sleeping. On the couch. Marla knocked on my door the next morning. She looked worse than usual. Eyes ringed with red. Hands shaking. "You need to leave," she said. "Why?" "She wants attention. She always does." The last one didn't listen either. "The last one?" Marla didn't answer. She just backed away, muttering something under her breath. I Googled the address. There wasn't much. But I found a headline from 1986. "Body of missing girl found behind wall in Salem apartment." The unit was listed as 3B. Her name was Abigail Greer, 8 years old. Went missing during a nor'easter. They found her 6 weeks later when the smell led them to her. She'd been sealed behind the wall, hands bloodied from trying to claw her way out. No one was ever arrested. I didn't sleep for 2 days after that. Then the lights began turning on and off by themselves. My phone would ring at 2:37 a.m. every night. No caller ID, just static on the other end. Once, I picked up and heard a child giggling. The fireplace started lighting on its own. The final straw came a week later. I woke up, somehow in my bed, though I'd fallen asleep on the couch. The blankets were pulled tight around me, tucked in like I was being swaddled. I couldn't move. In the corner of the room, the drywall pulsed. A dark wetness spread outward, forming the shape of two small hands. Then I heard the voice, right behind my ear. "I'm cold," I screamed and thrashed until I could move again. When I turned on the lights, the wall was clean. No stains, no hands, just silence. I left that morning. Didn't pack, didn't even close the door behind me. Claire tried to call me. I didn't answer. I drove straight to a hotel in Boston and stayed there for a week. When I finally went back to collect my things during the day, I saw Marla sitting on the front steps. She didn't look surprised to see me. "She knows your name now," Marla said. "She doesn't forget." I never went back again. But sometimes, at exactly 2:37 a.m., my phone still rings. And when I answer, a little girl whispers, "I'm not done yet." When I signed the lease, I didn't know the apartment came with a shadow. They called it Wisteria House, a quaint old Victorian carved into 6 tiny units, hidden under a canopy of moss-covered oaks on Abercorn Street, right in the historic district of Savannah, Georgia. Tour guides love to stop out front and point to it, saying things like, "That's one of the oldest homes on the street, Civil War ghosts and all." I thought it was charming. I even took pictures on move-in day. The morning light poured through tall windows and bounced off the hardwood floors like gold. There were built-in bookshelves, ornate crown moldings, a clawfoot tub in the bathroom. The place smelled faintly of lavender and old wood. Apartment 2B was mine. The landlord, Mr. Haywood, was an older man with a cane and a hollow voice. He lived in the back unit, barely visible behind yellowing curtains. He didn't say much during our first meeting, just handed me the keys and mumbled, "Don't leave mirrors uncovered at night." That's all I'll say. I thought he was senile. I wish he was. The first sign came the night I moved in. It was the kind of quiet you only find in old places. The quiet that feels intentional, as if the house was holding its breath. I had just finished brushing my teeth when I saw it. My reflection blinked before I did. I stared at the mirror, frozen. My eyes were locked on the glass for what felt like an hour. Nothing else happened. I told myself I was tired. Maybe I blinked and didn't realize it. Maybe I was just catching up with my own face. But that night, I dreamt of someone else's. A woman. Pale, expressionless, hair dripping, as if freshly soaked. She stood at the foot of my bed, motionless, just staring. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Then she opened her mouth, and a swarm of flies poured out. I jolted awake, my throat sore, heart racing. The room was cold, much colder than it should have been. That's when I noticed the bathroom door was open, and the mirror light was on. From that night on, she visited me in my dreams, every single night, always soaking wet, always silent, except for the buzzing. During the day, things began shifting. The apartment developed moods. Sometimes I'd walk in and feel completely at ease. Other times, a weight settled on my shoulders the second I stepped through the door, like I was intruding, like the house resented me. Things moved. Small things at first. Keys, hair ties, notes. I once found my phone wedged inside the freezer. Then came the bruises, round, purple, appearing overnight, always on my arms or the backs of my legs, as if someone had gripped me too hard in my sleep. I started keeping all the lights on at night, covered every mirror just like Haywood warned. That's when I finally knocked on his door. It took him a full 5 minutes to open it. He didn't look surprised to see me. "She's awake now," he said. "Who?" "Delilah." He let me in and made tea. His living room smelled like burnt herbs and something metallic. He told me the house once belonged to a woman named Delilah Wren. A midwife. Widow. People said she was a healer. Others said she was a witch. In 1884, 3 newborns died within a month. Every one of them had been delivered by her. A mob came one night. Dragged her out of the house. They never found her body. But she came back, Haywood said. Not in flesh, but in glass. He told me the mirrors were gateways. That she only appears when someone lives in her room, apartment 2B. That's where her parlor used to be. Where she kept her potions and books. And where she died. "Why, rent it out then?" I snapped. His eyes twitched. "Because she needs someone to look at her." I left. Furious. Confused. But that night, I made the mistake of forgetting to cover the mirror. At 2:11 a.m., I woke up choking. The room was filled with buzzing. I sat up, coughing, and saw her. Not in the mirror. In the corner. In my room. Water dripped from her chin onto the floor. Her soaked black dress clung to her bony frame. Her mouth hung open, wide, impossibly wide. The flies were real this time, crawling over the sheets. Swarming toward me, I screamed and ran. Didn't look back. I spent the rest of the night in my car, parked outside a gas station 2 blocks away. I watched the sun rise over the historic oak trees, and swore I'd break the lease. But the landlord was gone, disappeared, unit empty. No forwarding address, no response to emails or calls. So I hired a local historian, paid her a ridiculous fee to dig into Wisteria House. What she found still gives me nightmares. Delilah wasn't just a midwife. She was accused of binding souls. They found a hidden room in the basement, sealed shut. Inside, mirrors. Dozens of them, all covered. Behind each, a symbol carved into the frame. She believed reflections captured the soul. That you could trap someone if you stared long enough. I remembered what Haywood said. She needs someone to look at her. That's when it hit me. She wasn't tormenting me to drive me away. She wanted to be seen. That's what the dreams were. The bruises, the flies. They were her knocking. So I did something stupid. I uncovered the mirror. I sat in front of it at 2:11 a.m., and I looked. At first, it was just me. Then, her, standing behind me. No reflection. Just presence. My body went cold. My skin tightened. "Didn't move," I whispered. "I see you." She leaned down slowly until her face hovered next to mine in the glass. Then she smiled. I blacked out. Woke up the next morning on the floor, blood crusted around my nose. The mirror was gone. Just gone. Nothing but an empty wall where it used to be, and I haven't seen her since. But now, every time I look into any mirror, I see movement in the corner, like someone ducking out of sight. Sometimes I hear flies buzzing in my bathroom when there's nothing there. Sometimes I dream of water dripping in my room. And sometimes, when I walk past a mirror that's not mine, I see her, smiling, waiting. I didn't know they were a cult. They didn't wear robes, didn't chant, didn't sacrifice animals, at least not in public. When I moved into Unit 6C of the Briarwood Apartments in Boulder, Colorado, I thought I'd found a little slice of peace, fresh air, quiet neighbors, hiking trails a 5-minute drive away. It felt like a soft reset after my divorce, and the price, too good to be true. The apartment was small, but newly renovated. Exposed brick, skylight in the kitchen, The kind of place that made you believe maybe you could be happy again. The first people I met were my neighbors in 6D, Tom and Esther. They were a couple in their late 40s. Clean, polite, always smiling, too much smiling. We host community potlucks, twice a month, Esther told me the day I moved in. It's a great way to get to know everyone. I didn't have many friends in Boulder, so I said yes. That was my first mistake. The potluck was held in Unit 6A, at the far end of the hall. The door opened before I even knocked. Inside, the lights were dim. Just candles. Dozens of them. The air smelled like burnt sage and clove. People stood in circles, speaking softly, as if in a library. Everyone wore plain clothes, no phones, no music, just humming. I met others. Greg from 6B, Rosa from 7C. They all greeted me like I was family. First, I thought it was just some ultra-crunchy wellness group, typical Boulder stuff. But then, halfway through the evening, they gathered around a bowl. It sat on the floor in the center of the room. Iron. Black. Cold. Tom stepped forward. "We give thanks to the Veiled One," he said. Everyone repeated it. "We give thanks to the Veiled One." I laughed, thought it was a joke, but no one else did. Esther stared at me for a long time after that. Her smile didn't waver, but her eyes said something else entirely. I didn't go to another potluck. The next night I woke up to soft knocking on my door. I checked the clock. 2:46 a.m. I froze. The knocking didn't stop. I peered through the peephole. No one. I opened the door a crack. Just a folded paper on the floor. "You forgot to give thanks," it said. I didn't sleep. Things escalated fast after that. I started hearing them at night, whispering behind my wall, my shared wall with Unit 6D soft, rhythmic. "He comes veiled in flesh. He comes veiled in flesh." Sometimes I'd hear tapping in the vents, like fingers or nails. I tried to talk to them, Tom and Esther. They acted normal, too normal. "Everything all right?" Tom would ask, tilting his head slightly. "You look tired." I stopped answering my door, bought blackout curtains, left the TV on all night. Then the dreams started. Always the same. I'm standing in a long hallway lined with mirrors, but none of them reflect me. Instead, they show something else. A tall, skeletal figure with skin like parchment and eyes like burned holes. His head is wrapped in a veil, soaked through and sagging. He points at me. Then I wake up, mouth open, throat sore, blankets soaked. The worst part? I started seeing him while awake, reflections, shadows. Once, he stood at the foot of my bed. I blinked, and he was gone. I tried to break the lease. The building manager laughed. "You're not the first to try," he said. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Unit 6C turns over every few months. People say it's the plumbing, but it's the people next door, isn't it?" I nodded, shaken. He looked around, leaned in and whispered, "They call themselves the Circle of the Veil. It's not new. That apartment building used to be a sanitarium in the 1920s. One of the patients claimed to see a veiled god in his sleep, said it lived in the walls and fed off forgotten people. A cult formed around it. They never left." He handed me a key. "Storage room in the basement," he said. "Might help you understand what you're dealing with." I went that night. The air downstairs was cold and wrong. The storage room had old patient files, yellowed newspapers, water-damaged photos. One article stood out. "Nurse missing after reports of chanting in Briarwood Sanitarium. November 1927. The photo beneath showed a drawing, a tall, shrouded figure. The caption read, "The Veiled One." Drawn by multiple patients across separate wards. Identity unknown. That night, I woke up screaming. Not from a dream, from chanting. It was coming from behind my bedroom wall, the shared one. Louder this time. I put my ear to it. Tonight, we feed him. We feed him. We feed him. Then scraping. Like something trying to push through. The drywall cracked. I ran. Didn't grab anything. Just sprinted down the stairs and out into the street in my bare feet. I stayed at a Motel 6 outside of town for 3 nights. When I returned in daylight, the hallway was silent. But someone had slid another note under my door. This time, "You've already been seen." I moved out that week. Left my things behind. But the nightmares haven't stopped. Last night, I saw him again, in a hotel mirror. He didn't move. Just stared and smiled. Through the veil.